Call over the Housing Authority of Travis County. It is 11:08. Roll call.
Chair Robbie Meyer,
Here.
Vice Chair John Hernandez, Commissioner Ann Denton,
Here.
Commissioner Eddie Karam, Commissioner Wilmer Roberts.
Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a couple of hard stops here, and we're gonna lose quorum at 12:30 for me, but Ann has to leave at 12. We leave at 12. So, well, we still have John. So we're gonna kind of move fast, so y'all are gonna talk fast and move on. So we're gonna go to, do we have any states in communication?
No, we don't.
Okay. Well, I guess let's move back to number 2.
I'm sorry. We're gonna skip that.
Wait, I gotta switch my agenda. Hold on. Okay, so and we don't have the minutes for number 2. So this citizen communication, so we're going to move on to item 4. First resolution is HATC 2021-14, and then the housing choice voucher administrative plans voucher issuance and extension policy.
It's me. Good morning again. So I'll be brief, and then if you have any questions that are more detailed, please let me know. So currently, the way our policy reads and what you have in front of you, what I distributed this morning, was what the admin plan reads, and then the red, of course, is what we're taking out or proposing to take out. I just want to let you know. So the way HUD allows every housing authority to determine the dates that we issue the voucher and the extension policy. So the way it reads right now is we provide 60 days at initial time. So when we first issue the voucher, 60 days, and then they can ask for 2 30-day extensions for a total of 120. However, the policy continues to go on and be very confusing and state that the minimum days of extension will be 15 days up to 2 60-day extensions, which is 120. Right? So if you think about it, 60 and 120, that's 180 days, which contradicts the prior policy that's in the policy. So we need to refine that. In 2020 and 2021, with COVID happening, we had some waivers that allowed us to do extensions beyond the normal, which we did, but involved me being heavily involved because the policy also says every extension beyond has to go through me, which is ridiculous. So what I'm proposing is that we remove that language, as you see in what I provided to you, and that we actually give a 90-day issuance of voucher at the very beginning to allow more time at the beginning, and then 30 days, just like it was before, so for a total of 120, if they need an extension. What this does, it allows me to track vouchers a little bit more. 2020, 21 was a little difficult, which is why we resulted in a shortfall, why we're now over leasing, that kind of stuff. So if I have a refined time frame and clients have a refined time frame, that defines it a little bit better. Everybody's on the same page, and it removes me from having the responsibility of giving that extra extension. Now, the disability piece for someone with reasonable accommodation who's a disabled person, there was no way for me to define those days, so it's just a reasonable time depending on the circumstance. So that's not including disabled individuals. This policy is not including disabled individuals. Okay, any questions?
Any questions? Do you have a motion?
Make a motion that we adopt resolution number 18-2021-24, amending the housing choice voucher administrative plan voucher issuance and extension policy.
A motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, but-
Same.
okay. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is HATC 2021-15, approve the 2022-2025 strategic plan for the Housing Authority of Travis County.
Good morning. I will provide any info that I can to help you understand this resolution. But generally, the basic data is included in the staff report in the body of the resolution itself. You've been updated on this continually through through the previous at least several months. The background on this is that we've worked with both internally and with external consulting resources to develop this 4-year, typically they're 5-year, but this is a 4-year strategic plan through the end of 2025, which is represents the 50th anniversary of the housing authority. And a lot of work has gone into this between July and December of this year. Again, been updated on this during the process, and it's been everything from identifying and engaging internal and external stakeholders to doing some deep dive work and developing and refining our mission, vision, values, goals, strategies and tactics and metrics to create this plan, collecting and analyzing survey data, multiple rounds of focus groups, etc. And everything is here. The document itself, we're very proud of what we come up with, and there will be a final produced document that also includes the metrics, the tactics on how we're going to make all this happen. But the core, the heart of the plan is in your packet. Hopefully you've had time to review this. It is kind of a dynamic process going forward, but hopefully if this is approved, we can launch it and move forward January 1 with this. And we're also looking at some innovative tools on how to track this and keep it updated for you moving forward. We're looking at a pretty neat online dashboard that's going to kind of sync up and mirror with our annual reports going forward. So in the interest of brevity, I will stop there. You have the resolution.
Any questions?
I just want to, I think the process was commendable in the fact that it's full input from so many different places, and that I think we've got it. I think we've got a plan. We all think we have a plan here. It'll be a useful document.
And I appreciate everybody working hard to try to get there. It took a lot out of staff. Board had several meetings, so I know it was a taxing process, but I'm glad we're firm there. Any other comments? Can I have a motion?
Okay, I mean that we are pretty.
Have a motion?
Second.
Okay, you have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have item C, resolution HATC 2021-16 approved the FY 2022 annual budget for the Housing Authority of Travis County.
Yes, good morning. So this is the same budget. No changes have been made from our discussion on the 17th, the budget workshop on the 17th. It includes a 4% COLA to all staff. It includes a contribution from strategic in the amount of 1.1 million, and also includes a contribution from TCFC to the foundation, $125,000 contribution from TCFC to the foundation.
Any questions?
I'll motion to approve HSFT 2021-16.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution HATC 2021-17 adopt the Housing Authority of Travis County's investment policy.
This is the investment policy which we adopted every year. We are just trying to make it run together with the budget timeline. So that's why we are bringing it now to get it adopted. It was adopted back in July, but in order to have it streamlined with run it together with the budget, that's why we're communicating now. So the next time will be adopted will be next year, January of next year.
And nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
Offer motion to approve. Adopt.
Have a motion second. Okay, I have a motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We have our regular agenda, discuss HATC's annual meeting.
Okay, as you know, the annual meeting will be coming up in January. And just briefly, our intention was to merely just go through and create hold nominations for each of the 5 different entities during that period to include strategic and the housing authority, the foundation, and its 2 affiliates, TCFC and TCBC. Unless the board had other thoughts in the past, you created a nominating committee, that would be up to you all if you would like to do that. However, I would suggest maybe the process you followed the last couple of years, which is to make nominations on the floor, was seemed to be sufficient. And if there's anything else you wanted to cover, we talked about potentially Mr. Plummer being here, but however, not sure if it'll work with the schedule, but if not, we'll actually schedule a separate meeting. Other than that, we didn't plan on having anything else to cover during that period. You usually do a strategic planning process, however, you went through a robust strategic planning process, so we felt like that wasn't necessary. We will update you all about how we plan on tracking it, as Steve alluded to, so we feel like that the strategic planning component of it is pretty much well covered. So with that, if you all had any other thoughts, let me know.
Your dates in mind.
Just it was, I think we have January 6th is the meeting, and it's not too close to New Year, so we figured we'd just leave it on the 6th unless someone had a conflict and wanted to move it back.
You talking about a half a day, all day? Or
No, it should be, we could probably start maybe slightly earlier, but we'd be done by typical noon. If we're only gonna do the elections essentially, which is what we're saying we would probably do.
Say 9 to noon?
Correct.
That works.
Might even bring some breakfast tacos for you, how about that?
Yeah, I'm not clear, so we're only having that one item particularly in a board meeting, or are we having an annual meeting discussion? Goals and objectives or something? What?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I was saying that we normally do strategic planning, but we don't believe that that's necessary. The other item that I mentioned was, that Robert mentioned at when we were talking about TCFC, we were talking about maybe having someone come in and share a little bit more knowledge about a different method for developing affordable housing. If that would coincide with that date, potentially we could have him. However, we said that we would look for dates that would accommodate his schedule because he's very busy. So what we're talking about is essentially just the elections.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, that's what we'll plan on.
And with the flux of where we are, and Citric, I would probably recommend to the HR personnel policy committee that all officers succeed themselves for this next year.
I think there's still considerable uncertainty about the pandemic.
You're right.
Really?
If that's okay with it, I'd like to just pursue looking at that.
Okay.
Well, we're trying to, I know we have somebody in, are we gonna ever get a report on those, what they're working on, or we're gonna work for our committee? What is the plan on?
Mr. G.
No, you know, we have a personnel director. Are we gonna, I just wanna know what he's working on, what direction you've given him, or what.
Yeah, there's a report here in this today.
I have a report in the packet.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna come, yeah, we're getting to that, yeah. He's ready. That's it, that's it. That's all. There's nothing else.
Well, but we have the executive director's performance evaluation. Now, do we want to do that let's do that now, and then we'll come back to the other parts of the meeting, just for that one.
Yes, well, I have something we'll go into executive session for that.
So let's adjourn for executive session for personnel matters. Hopefully it'll be quick.
Just make a motion.
Offer motion to go into executive session.
We'll then try to make it quick, and I'll come back here and show it. Let's come back, we're coming back into regular session. It's 12:01. Coming out of executive session into regular session, and it's 12:01. We are on 5B, discussion of executive director's performance evaluation. The directors,
Ms. Meyer,
yes.
I wanted to call vote.
Call.
Chair Robbie Meyer.
Here.
Vice Chair John Hernandez. Commissioner Ann Denton.
Here.
Commissioner Eddie Karam. Commissioner Wilmer Roberts.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay.
We don't, it doesn't say we're voting on this item.
No, I understand.
We
You
just-
have to, we have to vote to approve it. The
Okay.
evaluation.
So on 5B, in executive session, we discussed the executive director's performance evaluation, and the directors did vote to approve the evaluation presented to the directors. We will now move on to item 6. Executive director reports. A, voucher programs.
Just a few highlights. I know the data that you have is for October, but I'd like to update you for November since I just consolidated those numbers. We are at a 99.4%, 40% occupancy rate, leasing 666 of 670. We are officially, as of November 1st, at our 670 baseline with the addition of the family unification vouchers that came in effective November 1st. So I kind of wanted to give you that since that's more accurate. The other thing that I wanted to note is that the COC was funded at 100% through our local application. So we have another year renewal from 2022 to 2023. And I believe that's all I want to mention today. Is there any questions?
Good job. Okay, affordable housing programs, Gabrielle.
Yes, so we just meet today, like Carlos is out sick, so I'll be going over our board report. So all properties are at an occupancy of 83%. We have 14 market rate renters and 20 zero renters, and that's due to COVID. We have 11 vacancies at Fields, 10 as of this report at Eastern, but we do have currently 9 vacancies, so we did have a move in and we're working on the other units. 6 at Manor and then 0 at Carson Creek. We do have 2 repayment agreements and we are on time with their repayment. We have 0 delinquencies at Carson Creek, 1 at Manor, 5 at Eastern Oaks, 18 at CO. And we are continuously receiving those funds from the outside agencies. So as we receive them, those we will follow up. Our work orders, as you see, last month it was high because of the inspections that we had at the properties, but they have been being completed throughout the month. So we have a decrease within this month. Are there any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Real estate. Robin?
All right, I'll go real quick. So Eastern Oaks, we've gotten with the FNH and we have everything complete by the end of the year, wrapped up, all the punch lists, et cetera. That's what they promised. So that's essentially done from Gabby as far as whatever the leasing. Town Phase 2, we're going out with an RFP on Friday with regard to the general contractor. Our cost now, how much we might have to contribute is $950 versus $800. But I don't want to come back to the board until I know the exact amount. We didn't get the Federal Home Loan Bank Board grant. And of course, we just need to know what it's going to cost to build. But other than that, we're moving forward. CRAD Oaks, I don't know of any issues that are going on with that particular property. With regard to Travis County Facilities Corp., we have the existing VFC deal with Embry, Tech Ridge. It's indicating 58% occupied. Then we have two transactions, South First Apartments and then Lamar at Koenig. Those are the two PFC deals where we've done what we can on our part as far as negotiate the MOU. They have to get lenders, and we're waiting for that process to happen.
Good job.
Yep.
Subra, finance?
Good afternoon. So what's included in the budget, what's included in the monthly report is the financials through October. That would be 16 months into the 18-month fiscal year. In a couple of weeks, we'll be closing the year. And we also, we went out for an RFP for our auditors, and we selected an auditor, and it doesn't need board action because it falls below the threshold. But the auditors we selected were Smith and Marion. They have offices in Tennessee and California, and they have done a couple of audits of housing authorities in Texas. Other than that, do y'all have any questions?
What is our threshold? What is the threshold?
50,000.
50.
50.
What is it cost?
It's a little bit less than 25,000. It's less than before because we separated. Strategic is no longer part of the housing authority audit, so we will do a separate compilation for strategic.
Do we have a cost for strategics?
For this year, the Brown and Graham is gonna bill us 9,000.
Okay.
So I would assume it will be.
Any questions? Okay. Foundation.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as y'all are aware, we've been doing mobile vaccine clinics and public health drives at our public housing properties. We wrapped that up in November. We were able to get 18 residents at maintenance house apartments their booster shots. We got a ton of feedback related to childcare, healthcare barriers in our resident space that we will be able to use to target that. And then we made progress with our partnership with Austin Public Library. So they will be receiving 3 grants that we would look to partner with them on to create on-site programming. The biggest of those is their Digital Navigators grant. So they'll be actually, they're in the process right now. We're working with them on hiring digital navigators to come out on site and provide curriculum, accessing online health, education, and employment resources. We'll be pairing that with our volunteer AmeriCorps job coach to help with our job placement efforts. On top of that, they'll be getting a 50,000 telehealth grant, which will be used on top of the Digital Navigators program as well as separately. They'll also be receiving 50,000 for language access services for English as second language speakers and Spanish speakers, so that these services will be as accessible as possible. On top of that, we've got a few other partnerships down the pipeline that you'll be hearing about in a couple of months. We're working both in talks with Amplify Austin, Austin Community Foundation, Boys and Girls Club, Tesla and ACC have job training programs that our AmeriCorps volunteer is involved with. And so we'll be working on finding candidates to place in those job training programs with Tesla, with Central Texas Food Bank, Sunshine Camps, and Foundation Communities. So we should have some updates on the progress we've made with those partnerships over the next couple of months.
Excellent, very good, thank you. Okay, Steve, human resources.
Last but not least, okay. I'll try to be brief here. This is not all inclusive, but the main project highlights to discuss the strategic planning process. I'm not going to say any more about that. We've been through that. The personal policy manual revisions, we're doing some, this is an extensive project. And I've got multiple sessions booked with Patrick on working through these revisions. These are for compliance and best practice purposes. I think you'll really like what you see. We should have a draft for you in early first quarter of 2022. Been working on the 2022 training curriculum. Real excited to have some really great internal programs here. Looking at about 24 of them on the schedule. Includes programs I'll be delivering that I have developed or will develop. Topics, everything from some required stuff, harassment, discrimination, workplace communication, that kind of thing. Specialized programs for managers and supervisors on interviewing selection, performance management, et cetera. We're also, and I'll talk about this in the future report, revising the performance management system here overall, and we'll be training people on how to implement that. Workplace profiling, leadership development, it goes on and on. We even have some external speakers we're lining up to come in and talk about community issues on transit, further leadership development topics, that kind of thing. We certainly invite you guys to be there if you want to be. We'll keep you posted on that. Job description revision and development, lots of reasons why we need to do that, get those up to date. I won't go into the details on that, but that kind of dovetails in with the next page, which is the employee development plans. We're working on that, and that includes that, has everything to do with the strategic plan, with the job description development, and everything else we're doing internally. And that's a lot of info I threw at you.
Comment on, first of all, appreciate it. I like to maybe put this back on the agenda for your presentation next month, because I feel we feel rushed. I feel rushed, and I think it's unfair to you. And can we just come back and have them?
Sure. So we'll couch it in January and come up with a detail. Yeah, we'll do that.
I just didn't want to.
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
You and give us some.
Yeah, we'll put some more graphics on it too.
We've lost two and we're getting ready to.
Yeah, agreed. We'll do that.
So we.
We'll do that.
absolutely.
Board committee, real estate, governance, HR, back to you.
We did the performance again, they did the performance again.
Okay, so we've done that. Item 8, new and unfinished business. I'm going to kind of take the floor here for this minute, Patrick. The Commissioners Court has decided not to reappoint me as board member. And so this will be my last board meeting with the agency, with the Housing Authority and the Strategic. And I just want to say that it has been an honor to serve with the board members that I am on this board with. And it has been an honor to serve with staff. I don't always say it, but you all are tremendous staff. You all have done an excellent job taking the board's policies, implementing those, and turning the agency back into a thriving agency, making the programs work the way they're supposed to, making strategic money makers so that we support the housing authority. And it's unfortunate that Rosemont has made such a tremendous impact that the Commissioners Court has made the decision that they've made. But I urge this board, the rest of you, you to continue the fight that we've begun and to keep our policies in place, and don't let Big Brother push us around. Do the things that we know are right. Stay in the good fight, and do what we know is right. That's what we've done for the last 5.5 years since I've been on this board. And don't let anybody undo the things that we've done. It's not my choice to leave. If I had my choice to stay, I would stay on this board. But somebody sees fit to do something else, so I will go out in the world and do other things. But I'm always willing to help out where I can. Patrick definitely has my number. And if I can support this agency and the housing authority in any other capacity, I'm more than willing to. So I thank you, John and Wilma. So I appreciate it.
Well, again, thank you for your service. That's been a fast 5.5 years. But now, one thing I got to say, I really admired your commitment to serving on this board. I don't think anyone feels more prepared for a meeting than you do. I mean, no matter what subject comes up, you seem to,
She reads.
You read the information. But no, I really admired that about you. You really take your position very seriously. Experience and knowledge.
I've said this with Robbie in private, and I've said publicly, over this last year, we've grown closer as a group, and particularly our working relationships. We've had some ups and downs, but this has been a tremendous growth opportunity for both of us, and she has really been an asset to this organization. We really appreciate all of her guidance and support and help through this critical time that Christians she's been doing. These last 8 to 9 months have been really a growth opportunity personally for both of us. So thank you for that.
I want to say one thing briefly. It's probably obviously these are my bosses, so it's kind of interesting. I mean, but I do want to say that thank you for always holding us all accountable, and me in particular. I think that it's easy to, as a volunteer, to not see your role as being as expansive as it is, but I think I appreciate the fact that you do understand that there's an expectation for how we should perform, and you've never been falling short of asking for that. So thank you for the contribution you've made. You may put a lasting imprint on this organization. Came shortly after I came, probably just within a year or so. We've all kind of been here together working on these things, and I assure you we will continue to work and help this organization evolve. So thank you for laying that foundation for us.
We've got a couple of irons in the fire that I will transition over the next couple of weeks. And then I will say goodbye at the end of the month. I don't think we have any reason to go into executive session. So
I do want to ask, Steve, you are the committee. What did you come up with regards to the policy with regards to vaccinations and things of that? Anything that would happen on that?
Well, the guidance for potential federal contractors, which there's still question, even if you ask some of the bigger housing authorities, do they fall under that? It's still up in the air. All of this federally and at the state level, as far as compliance, is very, very much up in the air. And Patrick and I are still talking about this. So, you know, we have not drafted a formal policy on it. That's where we are.
We're still doing everything we can to get people to get vaccinated.
We are, and Eric shared, I mean, every time we've had mobile vaccination, we've allowed staff to go, and still encouraging.
It's important because there's some rumors there may be some liabilities coming down. If somebody dies or gets critically ill with regards to that, there's validation. Texas is becoming a litigious state. So we might want to encourage them to think about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
What? If I have a motion to adjourn,
I move.
and a second, then we stand adjourned.